on three. 1, 2, 3. Win!
The alley-oop!
Hello, Saints fans, and welcome to the final edition of the Coaches Show featuring the head coach, St. Martin Saints, Natalie Marlowe. Coach, what a wild week. First time St. Martin's clinched a spot in the GNAC tournament, and you guys shined on the brightest of stages. 2 wins against 2 teams that are headed to the NCAA tournament, and then facing a tough test against Alaska Anchorage in the championship game, something that Saints community has not seen out of the women's basketball program ever. So a wild week, a wild reconciliation phase of the season. Coach, I'll leave the floor to you. What stands out about the courage and the fight that your team showed last week?
Yeah, I obviously was happily surprised, but I wasn't surprised with not knowing that we were capable of doing that. So it was just kind of one of those things that, as we had been building throughout the duration of the season, our kids never wavered. They never gave up. They continued to climb and face every battle that was in front of them. And, it was awesome. The environment was so cool. And, again, to do it for the first time in program history is awesome. And I don't think that really set in for our players until, after the fact. And, yeah, it was just really cool. We had a lot of close games with all those 3 teams throughout the regular season. Came up short, very close with Billings, very close with Central the last 2 times we played both of them. So for them to, really solidify themselves as a top contender in the conference was a really cool achievement for our players to get. And I think, again, when you play those teams that are ranked in the West region throughout the year, 2 teams that were nationally ranked throughout the year, it really just it instilled confidence that our players had, and they just were trying to find a way to pull it out of each other. And so I'm super, super happy that they were eventually able to do that.
Able to defeat Central Washington while holding Asher Kai to 12 points the entire game, and then against Montana State Billings in a neck-and-neck battle, Kiana Rios with a big bucket, and then playing toe-to-toe against Alaska Anchorage for a large portion of the game before the season ultimately came to an end. But what out of this past weekend will you remember the most?
I think it was honestly just watching our girls' reaction and feeling, you could just feel the energy from the crowd, from our fans, really energize our players. But you just saw a different, I think, it kind of transcends from when we beat Anchorage, in our last game of the regular season on senior day. Is you just saw our players kind of, sit up a little taller and have this different look and feel about them that, hopefully we were hoping that happened a little earlier in the season, but with how the program has been recently and just the lack of winning that the kids that have been here for a while have seen, it's just really cool to see them evolve in a short amount of time and just grow as, obviously as players, but as people. They've really created a bond that's going to be unbreakable for the rest of their lives. The community has embraced them fully, and I think the one thing outside of basketball that just speaks to the character of the kids that I have on the team is that they're inspiring the next generation. We had these little girls that have come to camp. They came to our last regular season homestand, and they were here, and then they were back, and they're making signs. It's just stuff like that. You don't have to be Caitlin Clark. You don't have to be Juju Watkins. You don't have to have $1 million of NIL money to really inspire and impact the kids in your community and the next generation of basketball players. So I think for our kids, that was one thing that they were just overjoyed to see, these little girls holding up signs and, having pom-poms in their hand cheering for them as loud as anybody. So that was really, really cool and something that I'll always remember and cherish, and I think our players will too.
You've coached conference championship, Hartnell College. How does this one compare?
Yeah, it's a little different stakes, a little bit different situation. At Hartnell, that was, just kind of a regular season title. We didn't have a conference championship game. So, yeah, it was really cool. And I spoke to our team about when I was playing way back when, when we were playing in the conference championship game and kind of an underdog. We came into this with a huge chip on our shoulder, obviously the last team in and, by a slim margin at the end of the season. But just again to embrace that underdog mentality and play with a chip on your shoulder, we didn't have any pressure on us. I think that was what allowed our kids to just kind of go out there and have fun and really embrace the moment. So we really hit on that and talked about that. But yeah, for me, as far as comparison wise, I mean this one's special for sure. Obviously, you hope for a better outcome at the end of it, but again, the same situation that I had at Hartnell was when you have a group of players who buy into you as a coach that first year, go through struggles, don't have a lot of wins, and to see those kids that poured everything into you as a coach and what your goals and vision are, it's a reward that you really can't put into words. And I feel the same here is, those kids that really haven't understood, they haven't had a winning season, they've never experienced postseason play, they got to do something that they're going to hold on to for the rest of their life. So that it means the world, and I really can't put it into words.
You look back at this year and so many countless memories beginning in San Bernardino and finishing in the GNAC championship game. What are some of the key points that stand out through this year?
Yeah, I think, we caught a tough break, obviously not making the NCAA tournament, and we had the slightest of hope to get the bid, with our run at the last stretch of the season. But I made our schedule as hard as I could because I know that RPI and your strength of schedule is crucial when you go into that. So for me, and, I explained this to our team when, we watched the selection show on Sunday. One, we wanted to just all be together and continue to hold on to each other and celebrate while we could what we accomplished. But to know that out of the 8 teams in the West region that did make it, we had the second strongest strength of schedule, second to Montana State Billings. A majority of 9 of our losses were against in-region ranked opponents. So we had a tough schedule, and I want our kids to always know that I'm going to put them in those positions to obviously win their way into the tournament, whether that's with a conference championship or, an at-large bid because of our schedule. But they've got to know that if they want to be the best, if they want to be able to compete consistently with the best, they have to play the best. So we had a tough schedule. We were on the road a lot. We had 2 home games in the preseason, and they weren't against Division II opponents. So every D2 team that we played, it was on the road in a tough environment. And I thought our kids just handled that so well, and I do think that's why when we got to play at home, when we had those tough games down the stretch, we were prepared because we've been through it all season. So it was really cool to watch, them hold on to hope and ultimately be disappointed. But we understand you got to win a few more games, and a really, really good lesson learned for our returners that are coming back, that every single game matters, especially when you've got a tough schedule like we had. And, probably 1 or 2 more wins gets us in. But at the end of the day, again, I'm just so proud of the fight and that we did play a tough schedule and that we had an uphill battle the entire year. And for us to come out with 18 wins, I couldn't be prouder of them for that.
You got a great nucleus, great group that reach those heights, but also you can't do this alone. And there's a lot of people that you have to thank, and I know we don't have all the time for it, but some of the few names that stand out, what comes to the forefront for you as a coach and for the entire Saint community?
Yeah, first and foremost is, my lack of staff, losing an assistant coach, in November. About the third week of season was tough, but Jamari Foster he's been our student assistant the last 2 years. Man, that kid, he pours everything into this. He's in practice every day while still maintaining his grades and going to school. So he was awesome, and I'm looking forward to have him back next year as a grad assistant for us, because he's just been a phenomenal addition. And when you can have that trust in somebody who's been with you consistently over the course of your time in a place, it's really, really helpful. And he's had a great bonding relationship with the players on our team before then. Chris Henry's our strength and our performance coach. Same thing. I mean, this is somebody who's got a full-time job elsewhere and still finds time to get here at least 2 days a week to train with our student athletes. And he pours so much in, whether it's their nutrition, whether it's obviously their lifting program and their conditioning programs that he puts together. He's always available to them outside of regularly scheduled lifting time, and it's incredible. The support that we have within the community. Pat Skeel, Joe Longy, and just name a few, Paul Oskowicz. Like, these people have really poured into me as a person, and again have got on board with the vision that I have to create the space and experience for our student athletes to just get the most out of them every day. We're asking a lot of them, so we want to try to put back into them what they're given to us, and I couldn't do that without the support of some significant donors and alumni that really do love St. Martin's genuinely. I've got somebody who wakes up at 3 a.m. to watch our games, so I appreciate you, Maddie, and I love you for that, and I'm looking forward to when you're not over the seas and able to be here to cheer us on in person. But my mom flew out and was here a few weekends. She was here for the conference tournament. I've got family in Seattle, my cousin in Portland, and then just I've got countless people who are sending me pictures and texts of watching our game on YouTube and stuff. So it's been a long, exhausting year for me, but I would do it all over again in a heartbeat if we got the same results or a little bit better results. But yeah, it's a crazy thing that we sign up for, and for whatever reason we keep coming back, because it gives you so much joy, and it's a blessing and a privilege to be able to be here and lead this group.
Can't wait for October and November all over again. And you mentioned publicly this week you're the sixth man with being a road-heavy team during non-conference play. How special was it to be supported by the same community these past few weeks?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, that's something obviously we want to have throughout the rest of our seasons to come, but it really does. It makes a huge difference. And unfortunately our men's team didn't make it, but they were here for us full throttle and in the front row, and I really do think that's a huge reason that we had so much energy. We ultimately ran out of gas against Anchorage, and for good reasons, just because we played some really physical games. We beat 3 regionally ranked teams in a week span, and played 2 of those games back to back, and then ultimately lost that third one. But yeah, man, it was a heck of a ride, and to just feel the energy from the crowd, and again from those campers that were here, from our fans that are here every single home game, from our students coming out even with spring break being this week. Just an awesome environment, and I really hope that our performance can help propel the rest of St. Martin's athletics into that same support.
How special was it to have the support, Aaron Landon, rooting you on step by step?
Yeah, we've missed him being around, but ever since I got here, we all him, Tyler, and myself all kind of can relate, because we all came from the same JUCO area down in the Monterey Bay area. So Aaron's been awesome, and just he's always lending, gratitude for just the relationship that the two of us have, but always there to send a text to just remind me, how proud of me he is, and just how happy he is for us and the girls. And again, he was in this same situation when he took over, and it's really cool to have an open conversation with somebody who's been there. But I think we just ultimately both want the same. We want the best for our programs, the best for our student athletes, and I'm really grateful and fortunate to have a men's basketball staff like Tyler and Aaron, because it's not like that at every school you work at. So it's really cool, and it's an awesome blessing to have those guys.
And on behalf of the entire community, and I can speak for me personally, Coach, you've made all of us better overall in our craft and what we do. So, and for the entire community, this is It's emotional because it's been a complete turnaround that you've been able to do and orchestrate, and you've instilled a vision for the players, and they have taken it to heart. They've bought in completely, and the results speak for itself. So thank you for all the effort that you put in on the wild journey of all the road games and the journeys, all the late nights. Can't thank you enough for what you've done for the community.
Thank you. That means a lot.
That's all the time that we have for this season of the Natalie Marlowe Show. We'll be back again in next fall as we do it all again. But once again, for Coach Natalie Marlowe and our SED Matt Schwarzler, I'm Danny DeBock saying so long and take care. And as always, it's a great day to be a Saint.